Justin Timberlake, Everything I Thought It Was, album review. Let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning here tonight to chat about this long-awaited latest album from Mr. Justin Timberlake. You know who the hell we are talking about here. Did NSYNC never exist to you? My God. But all jokes aside, I've always been, fairly open to Justin's solo stuff, even if I was not into his studio debut, Justified, nor am I today. I just think it's an album that really doesn't live up to the hype of somebody like Justin stepping out on his own. Even if I do still enjoy Rock Your Body, it's pretty darn good. I'm down with it. However, as you can see behind me, I am a gigantic fan of his follow-up album, Future Sex Love Sounds. Not only is this my favorite Justin album, not only is this one of my all-time favorite pop albums, but it is one of my all-time favorite albums of any genre. This, to me, is truly the essence of cool and one of this generation's greatest pop albums. I love it. I still love it. And I'm probably always going to love it. Now, a few years later, Justin returned with the 2020 Experience. And at first, I was kind of lukewarm to the whole thing. I thought it was a little bloated. But in the upcoming years, I have come around to it. It does, to an extent, while it is a little spotty at times, to an extent, it does come off as the celebration of pop music from every generation that Justin really did intend it to be. Now, a few years after that, he put out part 2 to the 2020 Experience, and I wanted to head for the hills. This was not a celebration. This was a muddled mess, and songwriting-wise, this was the weakest Justin sounded in quite some time. And maybe you caught this from by a video that I did about a month ago now of albums that I'm super excited to hear. But his last album, Justin's last album, Man of the Woods, is one of the worst albums that I have ever listened to and one of the weakest reviews I've ever given on this channel. By a long shot, too. I just wanted him this time around to take his head out of his ass, or the woods, or wherever it's been, and give us the pop album that we deserve. And he tried. There are certainly shades throughout this very long album. Once again, 18 tracks, well over an hour long. There are certainly shades of the big, boisterous pop album that Justin feels like this certainly is. As a matter of fact, he starts off this album pretty decently. I think Memphis is really, really cool. This is a low-key, very bluesy number with a booming, bassy beat just gently out of reach. And Justin's performance, believe it or not, is one of his most passionate on this entire project. It's very tender, it's sweet. The nocturnal sort of sun going down film over this track is really tasteful as well. It's smoky, it's soulful, and yes, you can argue that there is some Post Malone-isms on this track, but I think it's done well. Especially when it comes to the rapped verse that we get here, which I feel like is going to be either something you're into or not. I'm not as into it, but the rest of this track does enough of creating a good sort of sundown aesthetic that I'm allowed to enjoy it. Fucking Up the Disco, on the other hand, is much more upbeat. It's a much more club-centered track. And it's a track that I initially was not that into. It's certainly very flashy and very clean and pristine sounding. And those aren't necessarily bad things, but it's something that I'm iffy with when it comes to pop music. But the bass riff is actually really groovy, and the new disco vibes of this track are really tasteful. And there are a few cringy lines. Once again, Justin gives us a rap verse, and I'm not exactly the most thrilled about it. But I actually don't hate this track. It's a little cheesy, but it's a lot of fun, and it got me up and moving. A lot of same feelings on No Angels on this album. Honestly, this is one of my favorite deep cuts here. Stylistically, Justin's tried a lot of things over the last decade, but the flashy club anthems, when he does it right, are his strong suit, and this is absolutely that. It's a shiny, sleek, sexy dance tune. Just love the lyricals work on this track as well. This theme of no angels on the dance floor. When Justin really focuses, he's nothing short of the essence of cool. Hell, I would take a track like this over anything on that new Chromeo album. And you know what? I'm just going to come out and say it. I actually really think Drown is just a great pop single. If you're looking for a single that's going to rewrite pop history, you can just keep on moving. That's not what this is. But if you want to see a genuine pop megastar put out a fantastic big ballad that means something to him and he put his heart into it, give this a shot. I love the soulful vocals that we get here and the genuine drama behind this track. And yeah, the lyrics are a little bit cheesy, but this is Justin bringing his A game. But while there are glimpses of greatness, my friends, we are not in Kansas anymore. We get a lot of tracks on here that are just bloated beyond belief, and most importantly, very, very cringy. May I bring to the table the track Play? You should have seen my face when this track came on. Who in God's name let this crap in here? This is Justin trying to be steamy and sexy, which he did on the last two tracks, but this time falling flat on his face. Maybe this is the fact that Justin's now in his 40s, or maybe it's the fact that lyrically this is one of the creepiest things I've heard in a long time. And look, I will say this. He's trying. He brings his A game to a track like this, but he's working with creepy, weird, sketchy bullshit. I mean, this isn't sexy. After a track like this, Justin's probably going home pretty damn horny. Especially the finale. No. This is absolutely the worst track here. Maybe the worst single that I've heard all year. Also, Technicolor. What happened here? How is this the only track on this album that Timbaland had anything to do with? And once again, we are talking about Justin Timberlake, who has put on some really, truly great extended ballads in the past. I mean, what comes around, goes around. My God. And then I hear a track like Technicolor going over 7 minutes. And once again, Justin's certainly trying. It's not like he didn't bring his shoes to the dance. No, he's putting in an effort on tracks like this. But once again, he's dealing with crap. He is dealing with cringy lyrics that make me go, ugh. And while this track is never ending, let me tell you, there's no substance here. And listen, I will say this, because I do give credit where it's due. Halfway through this track, it does progress a little bit, and when it does, it does get a little bit better, but my God, this track is like pulling teeth. Then we have Liar featuring Fireboy DML. We are really going in a very sad direction, and it's not going to get much better. Things are getting more and more faceless as this album rolls on. This sounds like any pop rap crooner trying to make his big coming out ballad. And like Justin's performance on this track, my God, we're getting into some sad territory. Like, is this Bugatti Biebs or JT? And listen, it's not just that, songwriting wise. Once again, nope. And listen, I'm sorry to say, Fireboy DML does not help any of this situation here. Yeah, he should have stayed at home. Yuck. And why the hell does Love and War sound like a genuine Miguel cover? Like, I'm running out of shit to say at this point. Like, does this track sound big and epic and cleanly produced? Yeah, sure it does. But there's once again no substance. And then I hear Justin, who's absolutely pouring his heart into this performance, but he's giving shit. This is just a really weak-ass ballad that honestly could have been anybody. Yeah, it's just another very middle-of-the-road album. And yeah, sure, it's better than Man of the Woods, but not by much. I mean, yeah, sure. I will say this. There are some deep cuts late in the album that still, caught me by surprise. Like Infinity Sex, which has all the right to be just a mess of a tune. But here, you know the formula. It's a bubbly beat. I love the piano on this track that just keeps bumping during this beat. Everything about this track actually really works. No, this is a shimmering new disco track with a lot of swagger. It really caught me off guard. Honestly, Sanctified featuring Tobe Ingwe is probably the best deep cut here. This track really caught me off guard once again. Now, Justin, for quite some time, has toyed with a lot of soul and modern blues. And for the most part, it's been pretty sloppy. It's been very wishy-washy, one way or another. But then I hear a track like this. He's actually bringing a really unique and soulful sound to this. He sounds so bluesy and haggard, and man, when that electric guitar hits, it's actually, exciting. And Tobe Ingwe, as a feature, he really brought his A game. Pound per pound, one of the best tracks here. Also, Selfish. Initially, I thought it was just kind of middle of the road from Justin. I thought it was decent, but hearing it in this sea of very wishy-washy tunes, it's actually pretty good. It actually comes off a lot more passionate and genuine in the album than it did initially as a single. I mean, lyric-wise, we're not hearing anything new here, but vocal-wise, Justin does bring some heat. And by this point, I am a very sleepy boy, and I am very tired, and I've sat through a lot of crap today. But you know what? You know freaking what? I actually really enjoy Paradise featuring the boys of NSYNC. And listen, this track's a little cheesy, a little preachy, a little full of itself too. But I will say this, the guys actually still have some chemistry, and the harmonies on this track are some of the most beautiful musical moments of this entire record. It's sweet, it's charming, it just feels up to speed. And because I can't have nice things, Justin really knocks it out of the park with Conditions. Listen, this has been an album of Justin really reaching, trying to get back to that throne, but really, really reaching. And somehow, on the 18th track of this 18-track album, he is at his most real. It's heartfelt, it's honest, it's incredibly sincere as well. Even instrumentally, this is really something fresh and exciting. I just wish he brought that passion to a little bit more of this album, because it's middle of the road. We're still not back to where we should be. My Favorite Drug isn't helping. I mean, the upbeat, flashy funk of this track does spice things up a little bit, but what we're dealing with here is Justin dropping the ball in other areas. Vocal-wise, while this album's been, pretty strong as far as that goes, all of a sudden he's straining, and forget about the songwriting. Don't even listen to it. Don't even look at it. Just ignore it. Plus, we're getting to the point where we've been here. I feel like Justin's wrote this track multiple times, and once again, this is another plus 5-minute track on an 18-track album that's almost an hour and 20 minutes, and it didn't need to be here. And Flame honestly had me pulling out the very little hair that I have left. Easily the most infuriating track here. I mean, instrumental-wise, this sounds like Justin stepped into a studio trying to make Senorita Part 2. I mean, the repeated mantra that we get throughout this track. Oh, God. But I will say this. This track is sloppy, and I don't like it overall. But, God, once again, vocal-wise, the passion that Justin brought to this freaking track. I wish this track was better, because his vocal performance, I really am impressed. But I wish this album was better. I wish we weren't here right now. Oh, by the way, nobody asked for this track to be over 6 minutes. And with Imagination, I keep feeling like Justin's just phoning it in. I'm having less and less to say about this. Nothing stands out. Lyrically, once again, I'm just having a whole lot of deja vu. It's 3 minutes long, I couldn't tell you the first thing about it, and that's not a good thing, and What Lovers Do is even worse. God, I have nothing to say about this track. It's almost 4 minutes long, could have fooled me. It's another super steamy, sexy jam, but let me tell you, this doesn't get me in the mood for anything. Like, is this sexy? Is it working? Not on me. Sorry. And Alone is just late in the album, this track that just blows right by. It's another true blue ballad that from a distance doesn't sound too bad. I mean, it's Justin and his piano. It's very intimate, and I respect that. I mean, once again, his heart is into it. He's trying. But without any proper structure or some decent songwriting, God, he's helpless. It's boring, and it's sadly soulless. I mean, this album, who asked for an 18-track, almost an hour and a half album from Justin right now? I mean, I wanted an album that got him a little bit back on track. And yeah, sure, you can argue that this is it, because yeah, sure, this is better than Man of the Woods, but by how much? I mean, yeah, there's a lot of great tracks here. There's some really sharp singles and some vocal performances that I think demand need to be heard, honestly. But man, this thing is middle of the road. And Justin certainly tries, but man, he's helpless out there. This was really hard for me, but I am feeling like the lightest 5 in existence on this album. But let me know what you all think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.